Anthony Joshua, remember him? He comes back this weekend, or not this weekend, further down the line, April the 1st. He'll make his comeback against Jermaine Franklin at the O2 Arena here in London. We wonder what we're going to get. We wonder what we're going to see. What will Anthony Joshua be like on his return? Eddie Hearn was speaking to DAZN on this very subject, and have a listen because he's got some interesting words on this one. Here's Eddie.
The disrespect on this man's name is unbelievable, and I don't care at the end of the day. But what I'm telling you, people that want to downplay his achievements, people that want to say he's finished in the sport, get f***ing ready for the return of Anthony Joshua on April the 1st. Because this guy right now is out there, he's in Texas, he's working and grinding every day. This guy's got money in the bank, he's got world championship belts on the wall. He don't care for either of them. He cares for the sport of boxing, he cares for regaining his world heavyweight title, and I'm telling you, he's coming back with vengeance. This guy is a fine young man that is about to make an assault on the world heavyweight title again. Come off at your peril.
DAZN seemed to have bought some kind of easy listening music machine that Eddie was sitting on.
We don't want to go into that, but I think Eddie was directing that at Simon Jordan. I think he means people like Simon with these comments there. I mean, I'm an AJ fan, and I think that, I know the road back, and I think Jermaine Franklin's a credible opponent. He proved that last time out against Dillian Whyte. He come over here as an unknown quantity. He was unbeaten, but no names on his record. People thought that Dillian were going to blow him away, and he left the ring, leaving a lot of people thinking that he won that contest. He lost a split decision. So I think that's a credible opponent. The right opponent for Anthony Joshua to come back with. He's got a new trainer now. He's training over with Derek James. You've got to allow him time to adjust, and, psychologically he's been damaged off those defeats by Alexander Usyk. So I think, with all that in mind, I think that Jermaine Franklin may not be well known to the public, but he is a credible opponent.
You think it's
a dangerous opponent?
All right.
Yeah.
Simon Jordan, do you think Eddie Hearn was talking about Simon Jordan?
Listen, I think he'd probably talk about anybody that dares not worship at the pedestal of Anthony Joshua and the cash cow that represents for Matchroom. So with that in mind, I think you mustn't confuse critical evaluation with disrespect. Disrespect is marching back into a ring when someone's won the world title in a fight and taken over the microphone. That's disrespect. Not answering questions about a very significant matter in boxing, like failed drugs tests. I think that's disrespect. Critically evaluating the performance of a fighter and suggesting that maybe his best days are behind him is nothing to do with disrespect. Now, if you're going to sell something, if you want people to believe that this is a lion and not a pup of a fight, you make a lot of noise about it. But you know what they say about empty vessels? They make the most noise. So with that in mind, I don't think much of this. I understand the reasons behind it. Mr. Spencer have kicked this around on numerous occasions. It's absolutely appropriate for Anthony Joshua to rebuild.
But Mr. Spencer Oliver, sitting on that elevated seat, says Franklin is a credible opponent.
You can't say that he's not, and you can't say after the performance we saw him against Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte, who we know is heavy-handed, like Anthony Joshua, landed shots. Jermaine Franklin soaked those shots up, and he come back and he give it his all, and he made. I thought it was a credible performance and a worthy shot at Anthony Joshua.
I mean, ultimately, what my view on that is, for what it's worth, Dillian Whyte was a vastly diminished fighter from previous versions of Dillian Whyte. He got bashed up by Tyson Fury. His first fight back after Tyson Fury was an unimpressive, lacklustre, plodding performance where he narrowly went past Jermaine Franklin that no one gave much credence to. Now, that's given this fight.
Yeah, but is that because Jermaine Franklin's better than we've given?
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed.
Simon, when you look at it, that fight with Dillian Whyte, that was Franklin's first defeat in 22.
Yes, but look who's got on his record. I mean, he ain't got nobody on his record, so that's great. You can pad records.
Jerry Forrest is probably his best name on his record.
I mean, Eddie's point is this, right? If Anthony Joshua has fallen off the radar, most serious people think that he's not even in the conversation of the top 5 heavyweights in the world now, right? Now, he's got to come back. He's got to come back meaningfully. He comes back and beats Jermaine Franklin. Does it prove anything? Spencer's point is probably a really good one. which is, it's actually not an easy fight. He's still got to do it. If he goes into that fight and makes it a 12-round bore fest, everyone's going to go, what hit? He's got to bang this fella out. He's got to knock him out in 3 rounds.
Yeah.
But if he knocks him out in 3 rounds, do you think Anthony Joshua is in danger here of being in a lose-lose situation because of the name?
Zero-sum game.
Because, like, if he goes out there and knocks Franklin out in 3 rounds, you get then the critics coming out going, well, who's Franklin?
But does it help? Does it help when Eddie speaks the way he does? Because we know that Eddie didn't say this when there was a fight being offered between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. He should have been saying the honesty of the situation. He ain't ready for this fight. He's not ready. He's just come out of a big fight with Usyk. Rather than not picking the phone up to Frank and George, he should have just said, this fight's not going to happen from the get-go. We need to rebuild our fighter. If you're going to be this blatant honest about certain things, then be honest about everything.
Well, I think he's flag off Eddie here. He's backing his man. He's backing Joshua.
I think he's come back.
You would do the same if Joshua was your man.
Yeah, okay. That creates pressure. But let's look at the sentiment of what he's saying and put the motivations into play. The motivations are, what is the biggest cash cow potentially in British boxing? Anthony Joshua. So with that in mind, you're not going to sell him down, you're going to sell him up. He's diminished himself by 2 defeats. He's diminished himself by swallowing it against Ruiz and then getting it back on the end of a jab. Right? So he needs to come back and prove everybody wrong. And when you know what? When he proves everybody wrong, we'll all say, well done, Anthony.
But I think that Eddie Hearn, I understand what Eddie Hearn's trying to do. He's saying if you put him in with Tyson Fury, with the psychological damage that's been done and where his confidence is probably at an all-time low,
he loses.
He loses the fight, and then that could be the end of that.
Say that.
So
then.
you've got to try and build him up and
then.
bring him back. The roadmap being Jermaine Franklin, Dillian White in the summer, and then maybe one of the big boys.
Well, then say that rather than play hide and seek with everybody over the Tyson Fury fight. It's coincidental that you're doing this big bar-rather speech about Anthony Joshua whilst putting the price up in the zone to $19.99 a month, right? And so on and so forth. So all of this is a backstory, a puff piece, lots of robust language from Eddie Hearn about what this is and what this isn't. But we mustn't mention Eddie Hearn, because if we do, we're all indexing our name to Eddie because he's so recognisable and reputable that we all want to be around Eddie, because obviously that's his view on the world.
Many fight fans getting in touch, Spencer. There's one. AJ is done. He's too inactive. 1 or 2 fights a year is not enough.
Yeah.
And I think many fight fans think that.
Yeah, I agree.
We need to see him more so we can judge him more.
He needs to be active. I think he recognises that himself at this stage of his career. He can't lose any more ground than he's lost. You know, he's gone from that top tier, and Simon's right in what he says now. It's arguably, is he even in the top 5 right now? You know, there's fights out there for him, but he needs to make a statement and find some of that rawness that took him to that heavyweight title. And
he's cynical.
If he doesn't, then he's in trouble.
He's picked Franklin.
Yeah.
It's cynical because he knows that Franklin's gone in there, looked good. Oh, hang on a second. Didn't Franklin just nearly beat, or perhaps might have even beat Dillian White? A vastly diminished Dillian White that was nowhere near the level, but it looks good on paper. We can say 29th ranked heavyweight in the world. You say, and probably rightly because you know more than me, 29 ranking is probably not fair because ironically, Zilly Zhang that's fighting Joyce is 26 in the world, and there's a lot of credibility behind that fight.
There's a conspiracy going on here.
Well, listen, when you see...
Conspiracy.
When you see...
This is what we'll do with Franklin. Let's dress it up a bit.
Well, don't you think it is?
Well, I don't really go... Yeah, but I don't go by them rankings.
He's credible.
I don't go by them rankings. If Zhang's 26 and he beat Filip Hrgovic last time out but never got the decision, and Hrgovic is in the top 4 or 5... What does the ranking?
Jermaine Franklin came into this fight against Dillian White with no credibility of any significance, did he?
None at all.
And he came out with a very reputable loss, right?
Yes.
A loss notwithstanding it, against a very lacklustre, do you agree?
I totally agree,
right?
yeah.
So with that in mind, it looks like Franklin now is a lot better than everyone thought he was. So then you put him in against Joshua, it looks like, if he goes and demolishes him, it looks like, hey, away we go again. But he doesn't actually mean that.
I think the problem we've got, though, is that the general public, the casual fan, would not have heard of Franklin now, just because of the loss that he had. Because it was on a platform where I don't know how many views they got, but not many people.
Because we're going to sing about it, aren't we?
It boils down to this, Spencer. It is must win for Joshua and must win spectacularly for Joshua.
Totally agree.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.